Today, our target audience is people who work with those who have vision impairments and people who have vision impairments themselves. We're going to present beginner level content. I was looking at the people who were signing in, and I know of at least one who's probably going to know a lot more about this subject than I do. We are targeting people who are at the novice level of AI, and our goal here is to achieve these learning objectives and to give you a basic overview of AI and it's how to talk with it, how to use it for productivity, and then apply that to people with vision loss. Our learning objectives are as follows. First of all, participants will learn and be able to define at least 3 basic AI terms and constructs. Basically, we want to offer a good working definition of AI and key IDs on how it is used. Secondly, participants will learn about and be able to identify at least 2 key elements of a good prompt. Basically, we'd like to talk with you about how best to talk with your chatbot or your AI assistant to get the best results. Finally, participants will learn how to define, identify, and customize 3 AI tool settings within an assistive technology application that has AI integration. Our ultimate goal here is to understand AI a little bit better and how it can be used for people with vision loss at home, at school, at work, and at play. So what is artificial intelligence? I have a graphic that's going to pop up on the screen as I talk about this. So the first one, it's a little picture of a head with gears in it, and it says AI is a computer system, machines that mimic human intelligence. So AI has been around for about 75 years. While the theoretical concepts trace back to the 1940s, AI as a formal field of study has existed for nearly 70 years. The most dramatic advances have occurred in just this past decade. Artificial intelligence is a computer program or system designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and decision making. The second little graphic on our slide, it's a picture of a robot, almost looks like Rosie from the Jetsons. And it says AI is a learning aid, a system that learns from data. AI learns by analyzing large amounts of data to identify patterns and relationships, and then uses these patterns to make predictions or decisions about new, previously unseen information, much like how humans learn from experience, but at a much faster scale and often with greater data processing capacity. For example, an AI system can learn to recognize cats in photos by studying thousands and thousands of labeled images of cats and non-cats, identifying common features like whiskers, pointed ears, fur patterns, and then applying this learned knowledge to correctly identify cats in new photos it has never seen before. The third one, it's a little picture of a computer monitor and more of a computer tower. So AI is a productivity tool, a technology that makes smart decisions. So as AI interacts with the user and interacts with data, it learns and it improves its decision-making performance and its ability to improve outcomes and make smart decisions. So how do you talk to AI? How do you get AI to do what you want it to do? And we're going to talk a little bit about agents and prompts and chatbots. So how do you get it to do what you want it to do? You have a conversation with it. First, you find your agent. Well, I'll just call it an agent. An agent would be a chatbot or an AI assistant. So we'll just use the term chatbot. Chatbot is a program designed to simulate conversations with humans through text or voice interactions. The major chatbots that we hear about out there now are ChatGPT, OpenAI, Google Gemini, Claude, Microsoft Copilot, and Grok. So a prompt Prompt is an instruction or a question or input that you give an AI chatbot to tell it what you want it to do or respond to. So let's give you an example. I chose ChatGPT as my chatbot for a task recently. I uploaded a photo of my dog, a little traumatized adopted Chihuahua named Batman. I am showing a picture on the slide of my dog sitting on a pillow with his mouth wide open as if he were screaming. So I gave ChatGPT this photo of my dog, and this is the prompt that I typed in. Can you tell me what this dog would be as a human teenage boy? So here are the results from my prompt. I am showing a picture of a teenage boy who has messy hair. He's lanky, he's wearing a dark hoodie, and his mouth is wide open as if he were screaming. ChatGPT looked at data far and wide from across the internet and compiled all that together to identify this picture and give me this description. Your dog, if he were a teenage boy, would be like a chaotically chilled dude named something like Max or Zane, but he only gets called his full name when he's in trouble. He's got that effortless, cool, messy haired look, always in a hoodie with earbuds in, probably not actually listening. Personality wise, he's snarky but loyal, sleepy in class, but still pulls off decent grades, goofy with a hidden soft side, the lovable weirdo of his tight knit friend group. I have to say, I was stunned at how accurate the description was and how the photograph actually looks like the human version of my dog. So, what makes a good prompt? I have a picture on this slide that's scattered uh, scattered squares from what is the game I'm thinking about? Lizzie, what's the game I'm thinking
Rabble.
about? Scrabble. Yes, I've got a bunch of Scrabble tiles on this screen, and one of them spells out ChatGPT, and another one spells out OpenAI, just representing that there are a lot of different avenues to um, enter in a prompt. So, key elements of a good prompt really it's you really need to think about this in terms of something called prompt engineering. So think about the different elements that are going to make a good prompt. Be clear and specific. In other words, if you want to know a lot of information about golden retrievers and their behaviors and their health concerns, then instead of saying, tell me about golden retrievers, instead say something like, prepare a short paragraph about golden retrievers, highlighting health concerns and specific characteristics of the breed. So, again, you just need to be specific. You can also think about examples of what you want. In other words, you can say, this paragraph should be suitable for a flyer for a gathering of golden retriever owners. So, and then it's going to look around the internet and tailor that paragraph for the audience with the content you want and the length you want. You can also think about specifying the format. Do you want it in bullet points? Do you want it in a paragraph? Do you want one, two, or three lines? Give it some specificity, and that will allow you to get exactly what you're looking for. If it's not exactly what you wanted, then you can interact with it and correct it and basically say, the language is too formal. Please edit for simplicity, things like that. Also, as prompt engineering, you can think about the quantity of information you're looking for and the complexity of information you're looking for. If it's pretty complicated and pretty involved, then instead of saying everything all together all at once, break it down step by step instructions and then build on the content that it's creating for you. And each time you give it another instruction, it's going to refine it even further. So AI can be, well, let me pause for just a second and ask, does anybody have any questions so far?
Have come in just yet. but
Okay.
I'll let you know when I do.
Okay. So we can think about AI as a tremendous tool for productivity. And I'll just give you an example in my life. I think some of you know I am new to this role as the LVI sales director. I am also still working with another entity that I run. So I'm busy at the moment and thought about in this new role and having to do a lot of things, how can I leverage this tool to get a lot of things done? So in the past 2 months, here are some ways that I have used AI for productivity. First of all, as a writing assistant, if I needed to create an email for a specific audience with specific content, I can put into a chatbot, and my preferred is Claude. So I can ask Claude to create an email with a certain tone, with certain topics, to a certain audience, and it will generate an email for me. So that's the first way that I've used it is to create an important email with a certain tone. A second way that I've used it, I had a good friend of mine ask if I would have a look at his resume and provide him feedback and edit it for him. So I had a good look at his resume. I understood the job that he's applying for. And instead of me sitting down and doing the edit, I uploaded his resume, I uploaded the job description, and I gave AI some instructions. Edit this resume as if it were the ideal candidate for this particular job description and told AI who the um, recipients of that resume would be, basically tailoring the length, the style, the keywords for that particular person and that particular job announcement. And it created something wonderful that highlighted him in a better way than his original resume did. The third way I've used AI in the past couple of months is to summarize long reports. People who know me well know that I can be maybe a little more than ADD at times, and reading long reports can be a little rough certain times of the day and on certain days. So I've used AI to prepare for important meetings by summarizing long reports just to give me the highlight, to give me the flavor, to give me the idea so that I can begin to prepare for some important meetings. The summarizing feature has been very helpful. A fourth way that I've used AI, and this hopefully you'll start seeing the results of some of this soon, is to use the creative side of AI to help identify some key strategies for social media content and a social media schedule. So hopefully we've got some of that in the works, and hopefully you'll see the results of how AI is helping us to target our customers, our branding, and create some engaging content that keeps people interested in what we do. And then the final thing I've used AI for is actually researching for this webinar. I'm fascinated with AI. I have some people in my wheelhouse and my circle that are more on the AI creation side. So I've had many, many conversations about it. But to distill it down into an hour-long webinar and to get some key ideas out there, I have used my BFF Claude to help me research for this webinar. So very, very powerful for productivity. These are my ideas, my thoughts, my words all run through Claude, and emails were written, documents edited, information distilled, creative posts developed, information curated, and time saved. That's how I've used AI. But how can we leverage this for people with vision loss? So, why is AI relevant for people with vision loss? On this slide, I have a picture, and you're seeing a lot of these right now. It's a picture of almost a Borg, right? So, a robot that looks like there's actually a brain along with some technology interwoven. And then the letters AI are superimposed on top of that image. AI is very, very relevant for people with vision loss and has been for some number of years. It feels like now we're hearing AI all day, every day. But it has been around in different forms for people with vision loss for some time. AI it's a life-changing tool that bridges the visual information gaps that are found in every aspect of life for a person with vision loss. Think about all the places you see the printed word. AI can address so many of those, can give access to so many of those. Think about facial recognition, object recognition, scene description, turn by turn navigation and routes, graphic content. So, lots and lots of different ways AI can be used. I want to give one example early on, and this has been about 7 or 8 years ago. I saw how this technology could help someone. I was working with a visually impaired piano teacher. He ran a studio and he had students come in every 30 minutes every afternoon. So a sighted piano teacher might run that schedule by sitting beside their student and listening to their performance and giving feedback while simultaneously watching the door in front of them, looking for the next student to come and checking the time to make sure that they are keeping on that tight schedule. So, with this individual, with a device that could recognize a face and a device that could, with just a simple gesture, announce the time quietly to him, he could perform the same types of tasks as a sighted piano teacher might do simultaneously to keep that studio running. So, that's just one example. AI offers a level of independence that is a very, very high value for people with vision loss. So just a few examples. Think about when your mail comes in. When your mail comes in, um, oftentimes if you're visually impaired, you're going to have to wait for somebody else to read it, use some other technology, and it's just not a super easy, efficient way to accomplish that task. With AI, you not only get the power of summarizing so that you don't have to read the whole piece, you also now have access to do that when you want, how quickly you want, and with the right additional technology like earbuds or aftershocks, you can do so privately. So it offers independence for those sorts of tasks, and it offers a lot of privacy. AI is everywhere and it is being integrated into so many different assistive technology tools, from free apps to meta glasses. More and more and more, the technologies that help all of us and help people with vision loss have AI integration. It's more available than ever. Simply said, it's everywhere and it's already making a tremendous difference in the lives of people with vision loss. So let's talk more specifically about different areas of life where AI can be important. So the first one, AI uses for people with vision loss and employment. I have a picture on this slide of cows, and I will tell you why in just a minute. Um, there are so many use cases for AI and employment. I have three listed here: document accessibility, navigating physical environments, and object identification. So let me unpack some of those a little bit for you. Document accessibility. I was actually talking with a friend and customer the other day who is a vocational rehabilitation counselor here in Tennessee, who she has a vision impairment, and we were talking about her uses for AI and how she might improve her efficiency with using AI. As she's working VR cases, she gets different types of documents in different formats, and sometimes these formats are um, difficult to read with a screen reader and even more difficult to see with a magnifying app just because of the variations in contrasts, etc. And oftentimes these documents may have handwritten material on them. AI can address all of that. AI applications can read the handwriting. They can summarize some of these more complex documents and give her the ability to extract what she needs without having to do a full scan and a full review of the entire document. Another example of document accessibility would be, let's say, a teacher, a visually impaired teacher in a high school math environment. I also have a customer who is a visually impaired math teacher, teaches calculus and AP high school mathematics. She can use this type of technology to have AI describe these complex formulas and describe these complex graphs and charts. Also, when her students write out their mathematic formulas on exams, she can use AI to help her with that task and reading the student's handwriting. So let's think about navigating physical environments. I have a picture of cows on this slide, and these aren't just any cows. These are cows that live on a ranch that has been in the same family for 8 generations in Middle Tennessee. The current farmer has a genetic progressive vision impairment, and he promised his father that he'd do whatever he could to keep the family business going. Through our state's vocational rehabilitation program and through AgriAbility, he has learned to leverage the power of AI to help him manage this business. He uses it in multiple ways. For instance, he can use it to help him navigate the farm. These wide open spaces, AI will describe this to him in great detail. AI, if he has a group of cows out in one of the pastures and he wants to know who they are, he can ask AI and it will give him a detailed description of the 6 or 7 cows lining up in a row, what their coloring is, what they're doing. He can also ask AI if it will read the tag affixed to the cow's ear, say the third cow from the right, what does that tag number say? And that tag number is going to have affiliated information about that cow's care. So he identifies his cow, picks up that identifying number on the tag on the cow's ear, and now he has the information he needs to know what medications to dispense for that particular animal. He can use AI to identify the correct medication bottle and be able to care for that particular cow. So check him out on Facebook, Google him. He is a phenomenal story and he's a bit of a media star because of it. His name is Jason Barber. Another great use for AI in a work setting would be for the Business Enterprise Program, or BEP program. For those of you who don't know, this is a federally funded program offering opportunities for people with vision loss to become business owners and managers in the food service and vending markets. So with BEP, if you think about if you are on a family vacation driving down the interstate and you pull over to a rest stop and you go to the vending machines and pick up some Sour Patch Kids candies or whatever your favorite treat is. These rest stop vending machines are managed and restocked by visually impaired managers. There are quite a few visual tasks that have long been challenging for these managers. One would be telling the subtle difference between their products. So are these the regular Sour Patch Kids or are they the super atomic extreme sour version of Sour Patch Kids? That makes a difference when they're restocking their machines. Is it a 2.5-ounce bag of chips or is it a 3-ounce bag of chips? Again, this is going to make a difference because there may be a cost differential. Is this particular Little Debbie, is it expired? That's going to make a difference in their business as well. BEP managers have used various strategies and technologies to tackle these visual tasks, such as employing an assistant, using magnification, using OCR. These methods can be useful, but they can be expensive. They may not always work at all the different multiple locations, and they may be ill-equipped to do some tasks. The one that stands out in my mind is expiration dates. Expiration dates on packaging is in strange positions with strange print and is difficult to read. So AI can tackle a lot of these easily, efficiently, and quickly. Are there any questions, Lizzie?
Nope, we've had a comment from Miss Kimberly Smith. She said that she worked for the AT ACT program in Middle Tennessee and worked with farmers and BEP vendors there.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Very good. Very, very good. We will move on and talk a little bit about AI in education. I have a picture on the slide of a young woman in a classroom setting sitting in front of an iPad, and connected to that iPad is our new product called the MagnaLink Mini. The MagnaLink Mini is pointing at a whiteboard presentation that has graphs on it. There are a couple of other people in front of her, and you can see how the camera is positioned to be able to capture that information and present it to her on her iPad. With education, there's so much content, so many fonts, so many colors, so many formats, so many platforms, lots and lots and lots of information that is visual and that we need to figure out how to make accessible for students. Over the years, we have already seen AI being used quite a bit for the education of students with vision impairments. So just think about the expanded core curriculum and the different types of elements that are within the expanded core curriculum. Orientation and mobility. We have been using AI-powered navigation apps linked with GPS to aid with orientation and mobility for some number of years. We also have Alexa, we have Siri, we have um, those types of AI assistants that we have been using for a number of years, and people with vision loss can use these. Students with their expanded core curriculum and their TVIs can use these to learn independent living skills like meal preparation, grocery shopping, etc. So it's already been integrated into education, but we are seeing that evolve into different ways now. I think we have a couple of comments and a couple of questions, so I'll pause here and address those.
Right. Sharon had said that you mentioned a helpful aspect is privacy for the user, i.e., visually impaired user. What about info that is HIPAA compliant and non-disclosure agreements in business?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. And I think from a vocational rehabilitation standpoint, that is something that the AT evaluator would have to look into in terms of HIPAA compliance and in terms of other types of sensitive information. That's a great question, and I think it's a fair one that has to be presented in these different contexts. And was there another question that I saw come up?
Yes, one more. What AI app is best for reading expiration dates?
Ooh, I don't. That's a great question too. I don't know which one is the best. What I do know is that I will show, I've got, you can't see it, but you can hear it. I have a package, and we will look at that in a little bit. And I'll show you visually and describe what the expiration date looks like, and we'll see how AI does trying to grab that.
One more little
And
comment.
I'll take one more comment and then we will forge forward.
Someone said, as a comms, many of her clients have been purchasing meta glasses to describe intersections. They also use them with Be My Eyes. I do find that the way you speak to the AI agent matters, so thank you for highlighting that.
You're welcome. I think that's I'll just for a second bop back up to AI uses for people, employment settings. I worked with a person not too long ago, and he travels as part of his business. And an appropriate recommendation for him from Voc Rehab and from a comm standpoint were the meta glasses, because he travels in airports. He does have good residual peripheral vision, so he can, you know, navigate fairly well, but it's more seeing the arriving and departing flights and that sort of information. And the meta glasses are phenomenal for that. So great point. So carrying on with education, we're now seeing a lot of use cases for AI being used to help students read inaccessible materials. For instance, think about mathematics and sciences. We're seeing these engines and these apps evolve that can read equations well, and that can describe graphs and charts and things like that. making these higher level mathematics and science STEM type content and curricula more accessible. So that's an exciting feature from my point of view. Another instance where we see AI being useful in the classroom is with research. So a sighted kid student may approach a new research project and go to the library and just scan a number of different resources as a part of just gathering information. So with AI, now a visually impaired student can do something much more similar. In other words, they can grab a book and have AI summarize that just so they can see if it's the right type of content for their research project. So summarizing, I think that's an interesting use case as well. And then also think about describing visual content. So think art, think maps, think field trips. Just to be able to have a tool that can describe these other visual elements in an educational environment is powerful. A fair fear of AI in the classroom is thinking that it can lead to cheating. I'll just tell a personal story. I have one of my daughters is a teacher, and she was teaching high school English and rhetoric a couple of years ago. And they had been prepared that some students were going to try to use AI engines to write essays. And so what she would do is she would create her writing prompt and run it through as many of these chatbots as she could and get the chatbots to spit out what the essays would look like and have those ready to compare to her students' writings. And of course, she found some that had done exactly that. The essay was identical. And so she called them out and invited them to make up for that grade by coming to class and handwriting that essay to replace that grade. Um, so that's a fair fear. And we're starting to see schools look at AI through a very different lens, more as a tool that is going to become a key competency for students to learn to equip them for the future workforce. So instead of shying away from it, let's learn how to get along with it. As an example, what if you asked your students with an AI engine to do exactly what my daughter's students did? Ask your students, tell your chatbot to write a 5 paragraph essay on a key topic with 5 sources. And then, as the assignment, let your student vet and comment on the sources that AI chose. So it's just kind of a shifting paradigm to figure out how can we get along well with AI and involve it in instruction that is appropriate and rich for our students. And the added element of how powerful AI is for students with vision loss, just making sure that we're leveraging that power for great learning outcomes and not for opportunities for students to do what students will do, and that is cheat at times. Let's transition to talking about AI uses for people with vision loss, how people use it to enhance independence. So I have a photograph on the slide. It is a picture of a MagnaLink iTab. So one of our devices that we use with iPads, and you can see there are eggs on the countertop. There's a recipe book, a mixing bowl, and a person that's reading that recipe in preparation of making something that is sure to be delicious. You can use AI for things like reading product labels and mail, object identification, scene description for orientation. So let me give you some specific examples. I have a customer who has become a friend. She is well into her 80s and she has age-related macular degeneration. She is not afraid to embrace technology. She wants to figure it out and learn it. She's, not the fastest to learn it, but she's not afraid to dig in there and figure it out. So she is using AI in her home in a lot of different ways. She is using Alexa with smart appliances. So she has, I think it's an Amazon Basics microwave that she can use Alexa to control. So instead of having to figure out buttons, she just tells Alexa, heat for 30 seconds or whatever. She also has a smart thermostat, and that is also controlled by Alexa. She has an iPhone. She uses Siri with dictation. She uses VoiceOver. She has this product that's on the screen called the MagnaLink iTab. And so with this product, if it is in her kitchen, which it is, and she wants something out of her freezer for dinner, she can take that frozen food product out, and she can either use the camera and magnify it, change the contrast, to get the information she needs to be able to heat it up. Or she can use the OCR component of the software to read the information on the box. Or she has an AI subscription for the app that is resident on this product called MagnaLink Viewer. She can use AI, capture the image of the product, and ask it specific information. How long do I cook this on what setting on my microwave? And it will give her that information. So one device, three ways to get the information she needs. So let's talk about, I said in the introduction, one of our learning objectives was to talk about a specific technology that has AI integrated into it. And the technology we're going to talk about is actually an app that's called MagnaLink Viewer. So LVI America introduced this, I think about 3 years ago, to work with iPads. And MagnaLink Viewer can be downloaded for free from the App Store. It can be used on iPhones and iPads for free. When you use it for free, you're only going to get a few of the key functions. In other words, increase magnification, decrease magnification. You can change your color to false colors to improve contrast, and you can use screen masking, some things like that. So as just a simple magnifying app, it's a really good app. When you plug in one of our cameras, then you get access to a lot more features in the app, including you can record things, you can use a note-taking feature, just a lot more features available when you plug that camera in. Also, when you plug that camera in, now you can have access to AI if you have a subscription to it. So our AI is subscription based. You can purchase a 3-year subscription, and if you're not sure if it's going to be the right fit for you, then you can try it for free for 15 days. It runs off of ChatGPT, so it's got the similar functionality as ChatGPT, those key features that we've kind of referenced throughout the presentation. Summarizing, it can read handwriting, color identification, screen description, math equations, etc. So our MagnaLink Viewer app can be used with, we mentioned the MagnaLink iTab, and that's the product that you saw on the slide about my friend Susie using that product, but you can also use it with our other cameras. So you can, if you have an iPad, and I'll pause here and say you are going to have to pay careful attention to the specs. I believe, Lizzie, you may have to correct me if I'm wrong here. You're going to have an iPad Pro. It has to have a certain iOS version, and it needs to have a certain processor. I think M2 or above really performs best with a M4 chip. And the iOS version, I think, Lizzie, do you know that off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but it sounds
Okay.
accurate.
It's just something of note. Liz, we'll see if we can track that down and pop it into the chat. Um, so you are going to have to, when you're running this app with one of our cameras, you do need to attend to the specs of the iPad. So the one that we're showing here, this is our brand new one called the MagnaLink Mini. It's a tiny little guy, less than 2 pounds, and it will USB-C connect right into your iPad. Comes in a tiny little case, so just easy, easy. Plug it in and you're off and running. The second camera it'll work with, for those of you familiar with one of our flagship products, the MagnaLink S, it will also work with the MagnaLink S. It is going to have to be a more current version of the MagnaLink S, I think from November 2021 and forward. If you've got one that's older, you can send it in and have it, the firmware updated to be able to accommodate an iPad. But those from, I believe, November 2021 and forward will accommodate an iPad. And then we have kind of the big sister of our cameras that will also work with our iPads, and that is called the MagnaLink Pro. The MagnaLink Pro, super cool thing about this one is that camera is a more powerful camera than the Mini or the S. The Mini and the S cameras are excellent. The Pro camera is excellent on steroids. So it's just a high-powered 30x optical zoom camera, and that distance from the camera down to the plate is about 18 inches. So you've got a lot of room to do things with. So in a future webinar, we will go through the many different configurations that you can do with our products and iPads with these different cameras, with the stands, without the stands, etc. So we'll look at that more in depth in a future webinar. So I think if you guys bear with me for just a second, we are going to move into demonstrating our MagnaLink Viewer app. So I'm going to get my camera kind of all set. Let's see here. Does that look okay, Lizzie?
Yep, point it down a little bit. There you go. Perfect.
Okay. So what I have in front of the camera, this is a MagnaLink tab. Um, sorry, not MagnaLink tab, MagnaLink iTab. So this is my iPad, and I've got it in the stand, and there's a camera. You really can't see it very well, but there's a camera over here. And we're just really not going to pay as much attention to the hardware, more going to pay attention to the app. So when I turn the app on, and I'm going to do my best to describe, I know that we've got some visually impaired attendees. So if you guys raise your hand, or Lizzie, call me out if I'm not being appropriately descriptive for our visually impaired participants.
Got it. And one comment, Sharon shared that one issue she's come across is
Mhm.
AI might tell her the wrong information from reading the label. Sometimes it has skipped parts of the ingredients list, such as one of the ingredients. It has also said there is 0% fat in several products when shown the nutrition labels on products. So
Ah,
technology is not perfect.
that's a great comment, Sharon. And in preparing for this presentation, I read an article about a school in Austin, Texas, that is doing most of their curriculum, or high school curriculum, with AI. And part of their purpose in doing that is to teach the students to understand that it can be wrong and how to beat AI, how to figure out when it's wrong and how to engage with it appropriately, knowing that that is the case at times. I thought that was kind of interesting. So again, this is just using my iPad. I'm going to open the app, and let's start with something simple. So let's just show how it can identify colors. So I'm going to hit so we've got, I think, 10 icons across the bottom of the screen. And for those of you who are already familiar with our MagnaLink tab or our iTab product, um, across from, I think this is left to right, we've got the icon that'll switch views, the camera switch, split views, increased magnification, decreased magnification, OCR, AI, and then we've got some camera settings, some view settings, and then overall settings. So from one side, if we come in, that AI icon is just right there beside the OCR. So I'm just going to tap that. And when I tap it, visually what you see is on the screen, it says the assistant will answer questions following the image. And visually, it's a large font, high contrast. And if you scroll down a little bit, then you can see the image that the camera captured. So if you scroll down a little further, now we see a yellow button called Image Functions. So just to kind of get us off and running looking at this, let me tap that. When I tap it, I have 5 choices: describe, describe short, handwritten, invoice, or OCR. I'm going to hit describe short. And let's see what it says.
A folded red shirt.
It said a folded red shirt. So that just kind of gives you an idea. Within our MagnaLink Viewer app, when you engage the AI engine, now you're in a different setting. You're in a different interface. So let's talk about the elements of this interface. So there are really 3 main elements. You have an element over to one side of the screen. If you're facing the screen, it's on the left-hand side, maybe taking up a fifth of the left-hand side. This is our chats, our various conversations with AI. I don't know if y'all can hear that. They're blowing off the sidewalk outside of my house. So sorry about that. I'll be done in a minute. Um, Then in the middle of the screen, this is where you have your messaging. And your messaging, you've got, they're going to call them message bubbles. So whenever there's text that comes up, it comes up in this middle section. And that's where you can kind of see your conversation unfolding. You've got different icons in that messaging area. So if I wanted to have that text read to me again,
The assistant will answer questions regarding the following image.
I just hit there's a button that looks like a traditional play button. I can also hit, there's one that looks like a traditional start stop button. If I hit that, it's going to take me back to the beginning of that text, and then I can play it again.
The assistant will answer questions regarding the following image.
So I will talk about, there's another icon to the right of these two. So there's the play, there's kind of the go back to the beginning of the print, and then there's an icon that looks like 2 dog-eared pieces of paper. I will come back to that one in a minute. And then to the right of that, we've got the image function, and you tap that one, and then you have the drop-down choices of the different ways that AI can engage with what you captured. So we did talk about at the beginning, looking at how to customize something. So people customize, we're going to talk about how to customize this interface. So people that have vision impairments, they're going to have different needs for how big things need to be, different contrasts, different colors. So we can pause for just a second. There he goes. Okay. So we can go into our settings. There's a cog that looks like a gear down on the bottom, and we can hit that. And when we hit that, it takes us into our settings for the overall app. And when we're in the settings for the overall app, we have AI settings. So in AI settings, we can do things like start speech. And so what that means is if I capture something and I want the speech to start immediately, then I leave that toggled on. Can also have send text after voice input. So when I am in a conversation with AI and I'm asking more clarifying questions about the content or the object that I'm engaging with, I can either select to have it go ahead and start talking after I ask it the question, or I can toggle that off and I can control when I want it to read out loud to me. I also have the option to change the font size from pretty small to really large. I also have the option to go up to another section in settings called application. If I go up to that setting in application, now I have some kind of visual controls of how the display presents. So if I need reverse contrast, I can choose that. And now back over in my AI interface, it looks more appealing to people who may have some contrast issues and prefer that dark background with the white letters. Any questions so far?
Peterson had asked, do only certain devices have graphing and math AI capabilities?
Oh, Lordy, that's a great question. um, that's a good question. You just made me change my order of things. So let me show you a little here. I'm going to answer that starting with this graphic. What I have up on the screen is just a picture I found on the internet of a teacher, and you can see the teacher's arm. The teacher's holding an expo marker and writing an equation on the board. So let me capture it and let's see what happens. So I captured that image and now I have image functions. So let's describe it and see what it says.
Here is a description of the image you sent. The image shows a whiteboard with a math equation written on it in black marker. A hand is visible near the equation, holding a black expo marker. The equation reads 2, 3 equals x/4 3. The whiteboard has a black frame around it, with the text out.
So it's telling me a lot about that image, but let's ask it to solve the equation. Solve the equation.
Okay, the equation shown on the whiteboard is 3 equals x/4 3.
Well, looky there, it didn't solve it. Let's try it again. Solve the equation.
Here's how to solve the equation 3 equals x/4 3. 1. Add 3 to both sides.
There it
3
is.
plus 3 equals x/4. 3 plus 3, 6 equals x/4. 2. Multiply both sides by 4. 6 4 equals x/4. 4 24 equals x. Therefore, the solution to the equation is x equals 24. 24.
So that's what it looks like for this simple equation. There are evolving applications that can interface with Braille devices, that can interface with Nemeth code, that if you have, say, a calculus textbook and you have a lot of graphs and complex equations, the AI engine is specifically trained to deal with these advanced mathematics. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that is a key part of AI for students with vision loss that is evolving as we speak. So if you have the ability to attend conferences, some of the conferences coming up, I know getting in touch with literacy and AER and some of the ATA, some of those conferences, you're going to see these math apps integrating with AI and integrating with all this technology to give even greater access to these higher level mathematics. So I hope that answered your questions. We are running out of time, so I'm going to do a couple of more examples of what our AI can do. So it can read handwriting. So let's go back, and I just put a whiteboard under there with some handwriting, and let me show you what this looks like. So image functions, handwriting.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Saucier.
So it can read handwriting as well. Lizzie and I are available to help you with whatever you need. So again, I am Cheryl Saucier. You can reach out to me at Cheryl.Saucier. It's CHERYL.SAUCIER at lviamerica.com, or Lizzie. So Lizzie, it's Elizabeth Harris, Elizabeth.Harris at lviamerica.com. Thank you for joining us.